Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about what is a class, what are classes, and how do you define classes, and then we'll get into how to use your own classes. Okay, so what we want to do here first off is we're already using a class called main.as. It is a class that extends movie clip. So this is the name of the class, this is the movie clip. This is the entry point into the application. Okay, so if we want to create a vehicle class, what we want to do is, in order to create classes using Flash Develop, you can just right click and go add new class. And then you can give it a name. So let's say we wanted to create a vehicle class. We can hit OK. Now the vehicle class, we kind of have to define some variables about this object. So I've decided that we're going to create a variable called tires. So public var tires, and it's going to be an integer, and it's basically going to be initialized to the number 4. So we're saying that all vehicles have 4 tires. Now all vehicles will also have a name. So public var name colon string. Now I'm not going to set the name right now because we'll let each instance of our object specify its own name by not putting anything here. Okay, so that's all we need really to get started with a class. We've just created a very basic, a very simple class. Now we're going to talk about how to actually use this class in our main application. Now if I compile right now, we didn't actually do anything in our main, so we're not going to get any output, and it's we're not actually using the class. The way that you use the class is you first have to define a variable that will hold an instance of your object. And they always talk about instantiating your classes. So whenever you create a new object, it's the same thing as when somebody says they're instantiating a new object. They're instantiating your object. So we've already defined a class. We're going to go public var, and we're going to give this vehicle number 1. And we're going to give it a long descriptive name. Now for the data type, we actually specify vehicle, and you'll see that code hinting helps us again here. So that is how we can specify that we want a variable to hold our vehicle. Now in our main function, we can type vehicle, and we'll get code hinting again, and you put a dot, and you can see that we have name and tires available. But in order to use this object, you actually have to instantiate it first. And so we'll type vehicle number 1 equals new, and then vehicle. Now that created an instance of your vehicle object. Okay, now the next thing we might want to do is we might want to give it a name immediately. So we'll type vehicle number 1 dot name equals, and we're going to give it a name. So we'll call it Rick's vehicle. And now we're going to trace out some information here. First I'm going to compile this just to make sure that it works. So I'll do a control enter. We get no errors, so we know that it's working. And now we're going to actually trace out some information about the vehicle. Trace, and we'll type vehicle number 1 dot name. So that trace line should give us the name, and then if we trace out the number of tires, we should get the number of tires as well. And we could use the toString method again to make sure that it's going to come out as a string and not a number. Okay, so up at the top you can see that it says Rick's vehicle, and it has the number 4. Now to make that look nice with your trace statements, what you can do is you can add some text in here. This vehicle has, and we'll put a plus sign there. So that's a concatenator, so we're placing in a literal string text, and then we're putting a plus sign, and then we're putting in the number of tires. So let's compile that. And you can see that Rick's vehicle, this vehicle has 4. I didn't actually put tires onto the end, and so we can do that just by putting plus tires and then closing that string as well. So now it should say this vehicle has 4 tires, and the reason why it has that space right there is simply because in the trace statement I actually put a space there, so in case yours doesn't come out like that. Now that's what classes are, how to define them, and how to use them.